Oh my god.
Oh my goodness. Well, welcome to. I feel like I sound very weird, but anyway, welcome
He's
to episode number 42.
42.
42.
And I used to be able to say that in Mandarin, and now I can't. Oh shit! It all went out my head. I can't say. All I can say is ni hao.
You used to be
Ugh.
able to say numbers in
I used to be able to
Mandarin,
say 42 like it was no problem. I couldn't even.
specifically the number 42.
I could say 42. Yeah,
I mean,
like I
could
could
you
count
say
to
41?
100. I could say 41. I'm trying to think. Su. Fuck. I don't remember. Is
Sue?
it fuck? How do you say? Hold on. I'm actually gonna see if
Sue
it
Bird? Is that
Sue
what?
Bird. Yeah, let me look it up. 42 in Mandarin.
Oh
In
my God.
Mandarin. I was crushing it, man. I really feel like my life has gone downhill once we got out of quarantine. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, so you were now I remember you were learning Mandarin.
Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, that's what you do. You ain't got like anything better to do. Like you have so much time.
Sushi. Wait, hold on. That sounds weird.
Mm,
Sushi. Let's see. Sushi. Oh yeah, that is right.
sushi.
Sushiar. Kind of like that. I kind of said it all weird. I used to have the diction down and everything. Sushiar.
I
So
mean, if
Su
you
is
had
4, she is 10, and R is 2.
say that again.
So Su is 4, and then you say she. So she means 10. So if you say 410, that means 40, and then you say R, which is 2. So 42. And then sushi. Damn, I can't
So
even.
basically, you just saying the numbers after each other.
Pretty much, yeah. That was it was kind of like
Sushi.
cheating
So
a
what
little bit.
about if you said Archie too?
R she 2. So that would be 20.
No, I just it's the same thing. I just said them like in a different.
R she 2?
No,
Or
you said sushi out, right?
yeah. Oh, R she Su. Yeah. So
Yeah,
that'd be
right.
24. Yeah. Right?
That would
So
be 24. No, I
sushi,
said the same numbers that you just said, but with a
you flipped
different.
them.
Yeah,
Or, yeah. So
like why would that be different if you basically.
if you said R she Su, right?
Mhm.
So it has to be. So you said R is 2, and then she. So those two together is 20, and then and then you said Su, which is 4. So that would be 24. So it does depend on the way you say them.
The order?
You have to, yeah, exactly. So you just said
So
24.
you're not just adding them. It's just a question
No.
of
You're
order.
not adding them. You like sushi means 40. Like arshi means 20. Bashi means 80. Ba is 8. She, and then you have to just add whatever the next number is. And then
Man,
there's
you
a
know what's funny is man is just making shit up. Like
yeah, I could. I really could. Actually, I'm not smart enough to make it up, but like
it's like Bashi 80. You really, Manny?
Bashi. Some Chinese person's behind me, like, no, it's not. Like, just don't even listen to him.
That actually means fuck you. It's like
I think Ba is 8. I said that with a lot of confidence, way more than I deserve, because I am not sure.
ba,
Ba.
basically in Arabic is like the second letter, the second alphabet in Arabic. The first is Alif, and then the second is Ba.
Huh. Okay. Yeah. Ba. So Ba is 8 in Mandarin. Ba.
Yeah.
You have to say it like she says it, or whoever is teaching you how to say it. Man, I might go back, but is there anything that you would do in the quarantine that you don't do anymore? That like that's similar to my Mandarin learning, where you're like, I used to do that when I had time where I was just home, but
No, actually, no. Like most of the things that I did during the quarantine, I've actually continued on. Um, like new things that I started. I can't really, yeah. Um, you know, I worked a lot from home during the quarantine, and I've continued doing that.
yeah, I guess that's true. It's not like you've been leaving the house much. At least that's what you said. So
Exactly. I
yeah.
started walking a lot, like just walk around the neighborhood or whatnot, and I've even done more of that.
Okay.
um saying like, moving forward, like I've walked a lot more this year, for instance, than I did last year during the
Yeah.
quarantine. So, um, but
All right.
I didn't necessarily start any new thing like,
You
um,
didn't take on Mandarin.
yeah, like nothing like groundbreaking.
Yeah.
Most of the things were just things that I kind of like was doing before, but I just had more time to
You have more
even
time to
learn
do
it.
them. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
That makes sense. Yeah. I was doing Mandarin up until May of 2021. So I did it for like over a year. And
like,
then
what does that mean doing Mandarin? You had a private teacher, like
no, I had Duolingo.
oh,
Do you know? Yeah. I mean, not to brag, but I do dabble in some Duolingo. I did like, but it was cool because it was so hard. It was so hard, and it was something that was like, if I'm going to do a language, I might as well do the hardest one, like, because I'm not going to master it. But it's like it'd be kind of cool to just learn a few words, and it sounds way more impressive than like, oh, I'm doing Spanish, like so, like, but
yeah.
it was cool. I'm not gonna lie. Like I actually was like. There's no way I could like go into China and speak it, but that wasn't even the point. It was just kind of cool to just like, be
Train
like,
your
oh,
brain.
yeah, learn a new thing and like just kind of like, oh, that's interesting. Like that's how you say sister or whatever. And like it was fun. It was more fun than anything. I didn't go into it thinking I was going to come out being able to like speak Mandarin, but just like learning words here and there. It was kind of cool and like phrases.
It's kind of
But
like exercise your brain, basically.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
I like languages and
You
just
could probably
more.
learn it. You could have probably you would have learned it by now. You would have been living in Shanghai by now. Like you
Like,
figured out how to say 24 like immediately.
I really like learning, like, and I just like the puzzle piece of it. And what I mean by that is if you speak any language, like if you grew up speaking any language for that matter, like you don't think about it, like you just speak it. Like, it's just
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
um but if you are learning as an adult, and more importantly, you kind of learning from a reference language. So say you're learning, I don't know, Spanish, but you kind of like using English, which you already speak, to learn
Hmm.
Spanish. you know eh, for some people, they get annoyed at the fact that, oh, we say this in English, but if you do the literal translation in Spanish, that's not really how you say it. Like,
Right.
um for instance, if you go if you're gonna say something in English, like, I can't, I don't know what I'm thinking. I'm thinking about,
Like
but
I know what you mean. It's like it's phrased
yeah,
differently. They just
it's
yeah,
just
it's
phrased
not an
differently.
exact
It's not an
translation.
exact, like, if you translate it exactly, it's going to sound weird and even
Right.
though you will know what someone is saying. For
Yeah.
instance, like, you may say, so I don't know, like, I'm going to call my mom, but
Right.
in Spanish really is more around like, I'm called to my mom, something like that, because you're going to
Right.
put
And
like
it'd be
an
sounding
I in
weird.
there. and
Yeah.
and it is weird. um uh, but some people just get annoyed, like, like, Spanish, like, why do you have to put the I? And I'm like, dude, it's not your language. Like, that's to
This
a
is how they
Spanish
do
speaking
it.
person, it's the other way around as well, right? Like, they're gonna be like, why did you put I in there? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. No,
Like, it's not, it is but I just like those kinds of things, like, oh, you learn this rule, and then you learn the exception, and then there's an exception to the exception, and then you have these regular and irregular verbs and all of that stuff. They can be annoying, like, that's just more things to learn, but I like it.
it's
I
fun.
just
I mean, it's fun. I totally get it. Like, it was really fun trying to learn another language that was so wildly different than over here. Like there was nothing about it that was even remotely like English, which was kind of fun. Like, how do you, how do you fucking? Because like if you think about like the 40, if I saying 42 or whatever we just said, like a direct translation would be 410 2. That's not how you speak it in English, but over there it means the same thing. But you know what I mean? So it's like, you know, it's kind
yeah,
of It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, I like it,
But
but
you've been doing you know you've just so you grew up though knowing different languages, right? Like you were speaking. What languages were you speaking when you came out, like as a child? Like when you were 5 years old, were you speaking English yet?
yeah, I think so. Because yeah, like in elementary school, we started because English is the official language. So even though I'm trying to remember what we spoke at home. I know for sure that my grandma spent a lot of time with us, and she didn't speak English. So
Mm-hmm.
definitely, um, we will have spoken, Yoruba with my grandma.
Mm-hmm.
But in school, it is English. So yeah, I I never felt like I quote unquote learned English,
Mm-hmm.
even though like we took English as a subject in school. But it's kind of like how you would have learned English as well. Like learned,
Mm-hmm.
yes, you learned the rules and all of the stuff, but you spoke
Right.
it like you heard it, like that.
Yeah.
On TV, TV was in English. Um,
Yeah.
Cartoons or what. I used to watch this cartoon called Voltron.
Okay. I
Voltron,
think I remember that.
Defender of the Universe. Like I don't think that was an American thing. I think that was probably like a British.
Voltron. That sounds kind of familiar.
Voltron.
That sounds familiar. I didn't.
It's like a robot type thing. And then there was this show as well called Dempsey and Makepeace. Like,
All right, now you're making shit up. I never.
I'm serious, man.
Voltron kind of sounded a little familiar, but that is a good. That's completely.
There was Voltron. There was Thunder Sub.
All right. What?
Sub.
Honda Sub.
No, Thunder, like THU.
Oh, Thunder Sub. Okay,
Yeah,
got you. Thunder
Sub.
Sub. That's hilarious. I thought you said
Yeah,
Honda
so,
Sub. I'm like, I think that's a car. But
there was Voltron. There was Thunder Sub. Like it was a show. I mean, yeah, and then there was Dempsey and Makepeace. Like that was like.
so
I
did
just
you? So
remember
was this on cable or what? What was? How many
cable,
channels
like,
did
are
you
you
have
kidding
growing
me?
up? I'm just wondering. You also grew up a little bit earlier than I did too. So this was in the 80s, I'm
Yeah,
assuming.
but you have to also remember that I also grew up in a different country. So
there's a lot of differences. I know. I'm trying to pin down because I'm just trying to figure out like what was it like? Was there like one channel? Was there like
yeah, so for me growing up, we only had 2 TV channels.
Okay.
Even though there was a point where we only had one, and then you're just confined to that one. So
yeah. What did they play on the one?
So there was one called NTA, which was the state-owned, like the national,
Okay.
basically like BBC. And then there was one called OGTV, which was owned by the state that we lived in. So they were both state-owned.
Interesting.
State in the sense of one was the national government, the other one was the local government.
Local government. That is was it just like that sounds interesting. Like so the state owned it.
Yeah. So there wasn't anything like privately owned TV or anything like that. No, hell no. And
nobody was talking shit about the government on TV.
Nah. I remember, but one of the memories that I had when I was super young was when there would be a coup, and then you would have like the new whatever just come on TV and be like my fellow Nigerians. Like,
oh shit! How often did that happen?
I think to be honest, like I think I only remembered it happening once or maybe twice.
I think you told me that, and you remember it like it was a vivid memory because they just came. I'm just like, we own this now.
Yeah. So the one that I really remember was when Abacha took over. So there was this military guy who was, the general. His name was Sonny Abacha. Was like terrible human being. So when he took over, I remember that because he basically just went in and said something like, the Constitution is hereby suspended.
Damn.
Look, man, I can see that happening in the US. If I'm being honest with you, like,
damn,
I can see that happening in the US. Talking about the Abacha speech, You know what? I actually am pulling it up now.
What year? Yeah, that would. I've actually ever since you told me it, I've actually been fascinated by that. I have wanted to see it, but I've imagined it in my head like
Yeah,
several
this
times. What year was that? Did you say it was like 94?
something like that. Like, yeah, it was in 94. Exactly. It was in
Yeah.
94. Um, Specifically, this will have been August 18, 1994. So, okay. So this, I'm going to share this, and you can listen to it. Like, you can imagine, like,
You saw this live? Were you
yeah,
watching TV when this happened? Like they
I
turned
saw
off
this live.
Voltron, and he was like, "Yo, I."
And what would typically happen is I don't remember exactly what was it would be one of those things where you had maybe you just watching, like, think about it like watching something like Tom and Jerry,
Right.
and it just breaks to this military guy on TV.
Or maybe you
And
did show me this.
yeah, so let
Well,
me,
anyway, I want to see it again. Either way.
yeah, all right.
This government has always expressed its commitment to dialogue as a means of resolving our internal differences. We have demonstrated this by our individual and collective efforts at holding consultation at all strata of our society. You will recall that in spite of these overtures and good gestures by government, Chief MKO Abiola flagrantly perpetuated acts which breached the laws of the land, but government in its magnanimity never gave him serious attention. His most recent action of declaring himself the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria incited the public to insurrection and attempting to topple the government by force with a view to installing himself as president, however led to his arrest by the law enforcement agents. The step taken by the law enforcement agents is a legitimate exercise in the performance of their duties. Government does not and should not interfere in the court process. We have come to the point when the situation can no longer be tolerated. It is in the overall national interest that these unpatriotic acts being perpetuated by the leadership of Nupeng and Pengasing be dealt with decisively. Accordingly, the executive of both unions, the Nupeng and the Pengasing, at both national and state levels are hereby dissolved. This action is with immediate effect. A sole administrator will be appointed immediately to oversee the affairs of both unions.
So what you just saw there, to give you a background, now this is coming back to me. So there was an election in 1994,
Mm-hmm.
um, that this guy won. His name was Abiola. He won that election. It was um, adjudged to be free and fair, and he was just like, no, actually, I think I made a mistake. The election happened in 1994, but I think the coup happened in, I don't even know, man. Like, I'm not, don't quote me on the dates. Like, this is so long
But
ago.
it was like in the mid 90s, probably,
Yeah,
I
it was
guess.
early-ish 90s, early-ish to the
Okay.
mid 90s. Yeah. So there was the coup that happened. They pretended like they were gonna have an election, and then let me listen to this other one and see if
Wasn't
this.
there one where he like literally moved someone out of the chair?
Oh, that
Or
was.
did I make that up?
Obvious to every concerned Nigerian.
Let's see this one.
Our beloved country was adrift, threatened with
Yes, I think
imminent
this is the coup
anarchy
one.
and disintegration.
So they moved that guy out of the chair?
Half of the nation
Mm-mm.
threatens a
Oh,
second.
okay.
Critical elements within the society openly invited the armed forces to intervene to secure the territorial integrity and the sovereignty of Nigerian state and to stem the tide of dangerous national descent into chaos and disorder. As a result of this nationwide concern about the state of our country and following intensive consultation with a wide range of interests, including the principal actors of the June 12 crisis, the armed forces, along with other patriotic Nigerians, took the initiative of devising a way forward by forming a government of a grand national coalition. This administration appreciates the political and economic crisis confronting us today, but we are determined to contain and control their painful effects in our people. Indeed, the economic policy of this administration has been realistic.
I think these are just parts of it. But anyway, like I just remember that there were some parts um of the speech where he basically was just saying this is hereby dissolved, and that is, the provisional ruling council. I think I remember that specifically. The provisional ruling council is hereby dissolved, and um and yeah, like I mean, it just came on TV and it was like, okay, we're not doing this anymore. This is dissolved. That is dissolved. That is dissolved. And boom.
Damn. So who was the person in there before him?
So what happened was there used to be this other military guy who also came in by coup. You can
Damn.
He came in by coup. I think he left in, I believe, in '93, and then there was something called a provisional ruling council. Um, and the provisional ruling council was supposed to be temporary to kind of like be there during the elections that they ran for
Okay.
like a new democratically elected government to now start, right? So when I mean, of course, I think what happened was not. I think obviously the military guys or this guy, this Abacha guy, was the second in command to Babangida. Was the military guy that was there before? Was the second or the third? I believe it was like the chief of general staff or something like that. Basically, the head of the military under the military regime. So you
Okay.
have a military government. So if you think about joint chiefs of staff or something like that, like in the U.S., like I think his name is Mark Milley or something like that.
I don't even know. I'm an
Yeah,
idiot.
so
But
that
yeah.
would be the head of the Marines, the Army, the Navy, like
Gotcha. Okay. Just yeah.
yeah.
I got you.
So so he will be the kind of like the equivalent of that. And I believe the equivalent of the Secretary of Defense. Basically, the military was under this guy.
Got
Um,
you. And okay.
so so when the head of state kind of like quote unquote stepped down, I was like, okay, we're gonna have a military. I mean, we're gonna have an election. I think he always wanted to just be president. So when that Abiola ran, when that first clip, you remember he was saying something about somebody declared themselves as the winner, kind of like inciting insurrection. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't know where we've heard that recently, but
Yeah. I was like, damn, this is giving me some strong January 6 vibes. Good God.
yeah. So that election, that guy actually won. Like it was no doubt that he won. Like, the guy that declared himself the winner. Like it wasn't even the other guy, I believe, conceded. Now, um, so yeah, so that was basically what happened. That guy they didn't want him to be president, and they just made up all sort of shit. He was arrested, he died in prison, and shortly after, this guy also died, and then there was an election, and we've had a somewhat democratically elected government since the late '90s. So yeah,
Damn.
even
Yeah.
though even though the for the most part the democratically elected folks are also old military folks, like retired.
Yeah. Damn. That will leave an impression on you for sure. Like if you're just watching TV and you
I
see
mean,
that.
yeah, I mean, and that was why I said
That's when you said Nigeria be aight. Wasn't that like
no, not just that. Like actually, that was why I said when this whole thing happened in the US. I don't know if you remember. I was basically saying I don't think any country is special. Like you
mhm.
know, like these are all people that love power. Like
Yeah.
like it it just felt like that to me, that if those people had an opportunity, like they would definitely do a coup, kind of like say, I mean, it may not be somebody wearing a military uniform, but it would just be the same thing where you have somebody that won an election in the US and they just said, no, we are the one that won. That was what Trump was asking that folks
Yeah.
in Georgia. Like no, like, find new votes. Like, he would do that.
Mm-hmm.
And it is just scary that there are enough people in Congress that have accepted this whole stolen election thing. So I don't know. Like, do you think they wouldn't do any, especially given that these folks know that they are ruling from a minority? They know they have
Yeah.
nothing to lose. So
Yeah,
I
they
think
play like it too.
I feel like it will happen in the US sooner than later.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible. I remember kind of watching the January 6th thing happen, and similar to when you were just like staring at the TV in Nigeria, I was just like, it was mesmerizing. I was like, damn. And it is a reminder, like, we're not special in any way, and people are crazy, and they'll do anything. And Trump was like, look, I mean, look, they're just expressing themselves. He wanted it to keep going on. Yeah. Like, he didn't come out for a long time. It was wild. But I don't know. I honestly have not been paying much attention to politics since the inauguration. Did someone just say hi to us?
Yeah.
Who was that?
Darth Gosling? Like, who?
78? Who is Darth Gosling 78?
It's funny how we both pronounce it differently. Gosling, and you said that Gosling.
Yeah, I think it's Gosling. That's definitely Gosling. But
yeah, whatever.
Hi, person. If you're listening, thanks for listening. But I didn't know people could just come on here like that.
Yeah, like people can comment, especially when you're streaming live. That's the whole point.
Oh, wow. I didn't know. I didn't know they could comment on StreamYard. I knew they could comment on, I guess, YouTube.
No, so they're commenting on YouTube. Or
YouTube, and it's coming to us.
But yeah, so this is just aggregating it for you so that you can see.
Understand. I got you.
Kind of like the way you're broadcasting, using the platform to broadcast on those platforms. It also aggregates the text.
I got you.
For you.
That makes sense. Cool. Well, that's awesome.
You know what? I feel like I now see the video. I don't want to belabor this too much. We should move on from it. But I think, let's see.
Is that the video when he because doesn't he like move someone out of the seat? No, or did I make that up? Like, I feel, was there someone there and he's like, all right, maybe not.
Nah, I don't think he moved anyone out of the seat.
That would be.
But this, I think is the video that this is the speech. The video quality may be bad, but if you can't hear it, just let me know and we'll just move on.
Over as head of state and commander-in-chief of Nigerian Armed Forces at the most trying time in the history of our country. Politically, economically, and socially, there were lots of uncertainties. Things appeared bleak, and the atmosphere was heavy with uncertainties. However, driven by the belief in himself, his countrymen, and love for his country, he accepted to face the challenges of our time. I would therefore like to take this opportunity to pay tribute to him for his selfless service to the nation. Consequently, the following decisions come into immediate effect. The interim national government is hereby dissolved.
Yep, this is it.
The national and state assemblies are also dissolved.
I mean,
the state executive councils are
dissolved.
The brigade commanders take over from the governors in their states until administrators are appointed. Where there are no brigade commanders, the commissioners of police in the state have to take over.
Yep. So I mean, that was it.
We're just like, it's all this shit is dissolved.
This government is dissolved. That your mama is dissolved.
Yeah, like Thunderbolt or whatever you're watching is dissolved. Fucking Honda or Thunder, whatever is dissolved. It's all dissolved.
Yeah.
That's wild, man. But
yeah, that was wild. That was wild. So
damn.
But anyway.
Yeah, no, that could totally. I mean, I don't know. It could. I'm not saying any country's above that shit.
Nah, I mean, you would think that a country like the U.S. has
enough checks and balances, but
yeah, but
I don't know.
Maybe not.
I also never thought I would see January 6th. I know ultimately they didn't do anything, but like, holy shit.
They did something. I feel like sometimes when you do something quote unquote unprecedented, it's kind of like sex. Sex is unprecedented. The first time you have it is, it's like this taboo thing, right?
Right.
Like it's taboo. Like it's just like with anything that is taboo. But the first time, it's kind of like, okay, now that you've gotten over with, you like it, you want to continue to do it. So therefore, that's exactly, it's kind of
yeah.
like
I mean, they definitely like pushed as like the bounds of what's possible,
what is acceptable. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
like, it's like, oh, we can do that.
So they would do that again, because if you look at the commentary from there, they're like, yeah, that wasn't just bad. Those were just tourists that were visiting.
Right.
They
push that line back for sure. It's like,
exactly.
Oh, this is something we could do. So
if there were people on vacation, then what else? What else is acceptable? But anyway, let's move on from this. Like,
have you? Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Ask your question.
I was gonna ask if you've watched Squid Game.
I feel like I've heard that. What is that?
So it's this. Spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't watched it. Well, I won't spoil it, but anyway, it's basically this game. It's this show on Netflix that is a Korean show that is about these adults who are like in a lot of debt, and they end up playing this deadly game for money. Basically, it's like the synopsis of it. But it's just. At first people were talking about it. I was like, what? I hate when people hype stuff up, and I was like, it can't be that interesting or whatever. And I was just annoyed by hearing everybody talk about it. But then I watched it. It was pretty interesting. I thought I liked it. It was very gory, but it was kind of interesting. It's also cool to see a movie that was not produced in America, and it was like, it was produced by Koreans and Korean actors, and
so it was a movie.
I'm sorry, it's a series. So I guess it's not a movie.
That's what I thought.
It's a TV series, yeah. It feels like just a long ass movie though.
Yeah, somebody talked about it, but like that's the most common show. Like,
it was number one on Netflix for weeks.
Yeah.
Like a month easily. It was probably, I think it might have streamed more than any other show ever, at least in the first month or something like that. But yeah, I think it just slid down to like 2 or 3. Like recently, but it was a phenomenon for sure. And there's going to be so many people, I'm sure, who are going to be Squid Game people for Halloween and all that shit. But it was it was kind of cool. It was interesting. I enjoyed watching it.
See, I haven't really watched any series, so for me, I actually remember somebody talking about that, and I was like, yeah, whatever, I'm not gonna go watch it. So
yeah, that's true. I guess you don't really watch. I don't usually watch a lot of series either. It's actually surprising that I watched it. That just shows you how popular it was that I actually even watched it. I was like, damn, everyone must be watching this then if I watch it. You're like the last line of defense. If you watch it, literally everyone's seen it. Literally everyone in the world has seen it.
Yeah,
if it gets all the way to you.
Hold it down for the 1%.
yeah. No, hold it down. I look, I'm all for it. There's plenty of shows I haven't watched and I'm holding it down about, and I don't give a shit. But it was kind of cool. It was like we had a little bit of a break, and I watched like the first episode. And I was like, oh shit. The first episode I thought was super cool, and I kind of got hooked a little bit. But I think it's an easy. You go through it pretty quickly.
So these were people that were in debt. Was there sex, drugs, and money involved, or what?
There was like one sex scene, but it was weird. Going back to like translating language. So when I would watch it, it would have English, not subtitles, but like it would dub English actors like speaking English like over them. But you can also play it in Korean and just have English subtitles. Like you can play it originally like how it sounds, where they're just speaking Korean and you have English subtitles. But the default is to just have it with like English actors speaking over them. So I think the translation can be a little interesting and weird. And I think people were saying it's better to just read the subtitles from the Korean and have them speak Korean, because sometimes when they say things in English, it translates a little awkwardly. I didn't mind it. I thought it was fine. But like, for instance, there's a game in one of like these adults are playing a game, these series of games, and they're deadly games where you're trying to win these games, and if you lose, you actually get killed. And they're trying to win money, but it's like a bunch of people who are like severely in debt. And they are approached to play this game, not fully understanding what kind of game it is. And by the time they realize it, it's a little too late. But it also shows like how people are greedy. I always think stuff like that is interesting because like I've never considered myself like a greedy person or gives too much of a shit about money, in part because I've been pretty privileged a lot of my life. But I always think it's crazy when I see like think about the Mike Tyson thing, basically. Like if one of the games was you have to fight Mike Tyson and he could kill you, but you're doing it for the money. Like to me, that's insane. I'm like, I'm just not going to fucking do that. But you know, there are some people who would. So
this is basically the hypotheticals that we talk about on our show.
Pretty much, except you can actually die, and you probably will die. But it's a lot, and think of it as there's more money. But I think the ultimate game prize, because like the conversion rate from whatever the Korean won and American dollars must be an insane rate, because they would be talking about like 45 billion won. You're like, holy shit, that's a lot of money. But then you realize it's like 37 million. It's like, that's not that much to risk my fucking life. Like, but they would say shit where like $46 billion. Like, no, 46 billion won. That shit is like $20 million, which is still a lot of money, but it's not, shit. Like 46 billion and 20 million are very different. But and then you realize, like, damn, y'all did all that shit for a chance at that. Y'all were fucking struggling, but it's one of those things where I'm kind of glad I watch it just so I can have the pop culture reference, and it's something I can help like make jokes about. But I don't know. But it's nothing that you will change your life.
Well.
So, but yeah. So I guess you're not watching anything. You've been reading anything interesting lately?
I wouldn't say read anything interesting, but I came across this article from a couple of weeks ago. I actually thought we talked about it. I had it as something that we would talk about. So the title, this was in the New York Post.
Okay.
Right. And the title basically is, what is soaking? Like soaking, S-O-A-K-I-N-G.
Soaking.
Yeah.
The Mormon teen sex act going viral.
So this basically says a new viral video reveals that Mormons are doing what Mormons are doing to get around the quote unquote no sex rule. It is penetration without thrusting, an act known as soaking. So basically what people would do.
Wow, so they're just putting it in and just letting it marinate. That's wild. So they quoted someone. They were like, "When I returned from my Mormon mission and moved to Utah, I heard rumors about soaking, which is when a male places his penis in a woman's vagina, and that's it. No moving, no thrusting, no orgasms." 36-year-old Gary now, who lives in Oregon, told the Post. I talked to people who had soaked. That is hilarious. At that point, you gotta just. That's like you're not allowed to eat chicken, but you can put it in your mouth and just hold it there
and suck out all the juice
and just suck the juice. At that point, it's just embarrassing. Just bite the chicken. It's not.
This guy was like, I never practiced soaking. I was the sinner who actually finished the job.
That's hilarious. Oh man, I'm very interested in soaking now. I'm gonna read up about this for the rest of the night. I think I'm just gonna like. I think I figured out what I'm gonna be looking at. This is fascinating. I wonder how many people are actually doing that. And then you just stay there and just stare at each other? What? Oh man, soaking is hilarious. That is. If that were true, that God were like, you're not allowed to do that, I think he'd be like, yeah, you're going to hell.
I mean, I know. I'm just like, okay,
Yeah.
if you're gonna do this,
God's
just
like,
do it,
don't
man.
fucking try to bullshit me. I'd actually respect you more if you just finished the job. This is just getting ridiculous. Oh man, I've never heard of that. No, that is, but I'm also not a Mormon teenager. Man, that's interesting to get around it. Soaking. Oh man. That is hilarious. Yeah, I haven't been paying attention to what the fuck is going on at all, really.
Yeah, one of the things I wanted to, I saw, I watch a lot of YouTube clips, and I think
Yeah.
in the last episode we're talking about cancel culture and whatnot. Did you hear what Jon Stewart said about cancel culture?
I did not. No. What did he say?
I mean, and this also relates to, it relates a little bit to, what's his name, Dave Chappelle and all of that. We talked about that. I mean, I think we had slightly different takes on Dave Chappelle. I know he's your hero and all that, but he's a douchebag.
You think he's a douchebag? I don't
think
remember
so.
that.
No, I mean, I was critical of the fact that he made fun of, like I was more critical than you were, right? Like I think
I don't remember this at all, but
the last.
I don't remember you being that critical. I remember saying, because you didn't see the special. You got to see the special.
No, so I was critical in the sense that, if you're gonna make fun of people, there is something that I find a little distasteful when you make fun of the marginalized in society, people that that people just make fun of, like people that are, I don't know, that are just so different and like, or that we think of as different, that people that just go about living their lives and whatever, but I just straight up marginalized society, like that community is marginalized. Like for me, I've seen some of his old trans jokes, quote unquote jokes. So I don't get why he feels the need to continue to double down on it. Like, okay, we get it. Like,
Yeah, no, I agree with that part. It's like, dude, I don't understand why he's so transfixed with it, but I do think people should watch the special and then make opinions about it. And I can totally see you like watching it and being like, I still think this dude needs to shut the fuck up, and like that was really distasteful and not funny. But it's like, at least for me, I'm definitely gonna like listen to it and see what he's doing. I still wasn't a huge fan of the trans jokes, in part because it's hacky. It's like and yeah, I mean, like you can do jokes about trans people. You can do jokes about anybody. I'm not here to tell anybody what to say, but like make them funny and like like make sure it's well done. And there's a way to do it where it's like everyone's laughing. Like trans people are cracking up. Like
so
whoever's cracking up. Like
that is the issue. Like if the people you're making fun of are not laughing, then you have to.
You got to figure out how to. Yeah.
There is a way that you can make a joke about black people, for instance, that everyone is going to laugh about it.
Yeah.
And there is a joke that you can write or make about black folks that black folks are not laughing. Like other people may be laughing, but black folks are not laughing. So and when that is the case, you need to take a step back. And that's the issue. And remember, one of the reasons that Dave Chappelle also gave when he left to go to South Africa at that time was that he would do some jokes about black folks or something, and when people laughed, he felt somehow about it. And one way he doesn't get how another marginalized group would feel that way. So there is just a disconnect.
Yeah, it's a little hypocritical. He is trying to make a point, and I understand his point. He's almost making like a thesis where he's still ultimately coming at white people, but he's doing it as coming at trans people and almost making them seem like they're the same thing.
Right.
I mean, I think it's an interesting thesis where I would just be curious. I think it's thought provoking, whether I agree with it or not. I do think it's thought provoking as a piece of art, but ultimately, I think you're right. Like as a comedian, like for instance, if I make jokes, right, I don't want white people just laughing at my jokes, because in that point, I'm just a black person here to entertain white people. Like it means a lot to me that black people like my jokes that talk about race. Like that means more to me when a black person comes. I was like, yo, dude, I thought that was funny. Because and it almost gives me like a sign off, like, okay, I can tell this joke now. I was actually listening to, I don't know if you know Roy Wood Jr., the guy on the Daily Show. Mm-hmm. He's the black guy. Yeah. So he was talking about the same thing. He was like, you got to get the sign off from black people if you're going to be making jokes about like racism or race. And I think that, and similarly, like if I tell a joke that talks about trans people, I want trans people laughing. You know what I mean? Like I want that sign off. If I make a joke about gay people, I want gay people laughing. I want that sign off, and like luckily for me in like the comedy community here, there are trans comedians here. There are gay comedians here. Like there's all types of people that like I'm at open mics with. So I can get a good gauge of like who's left. I just want everyone to be, I want it to be funny to people. You know what I mean? Like everyone. It's easy. It's hacky if you're just like, oh, let me just make fun of these people that have just historically been made fun of. So I agree with that point, but
yeah. So this is Jon Stewart on cancel.
He's talking about cancel culture generally.
Yeah, this is just cancel culture generally.
A lot of voices now, John, are like Bill Maher, for example. When it comes to the culture wars, he expresses his frustration over and over again. I can't say this. We're limited in saying that. We have to wear a gag, and this kind of expression. Comedians are talking all the time about, well, I feel I can't do this. I can't say that.
No.
How do you come down on this?
About cancel culture. Here's a nice absurdity.
Okay.
People that talk about cancel culture never seem to shut the fuck up about it. Like there's more speech now than ever before. It's not you can't say, it's that when you say it, look, the internet has democratized criticism. What do we do for a living? We talk shit. We criticize, we postulate, we opine, we make jokes, and now other people are having their say. And that's not cancel culture. That's relentlessness. We live in relentless culture. And the system of the internet and all those other things are incentivized to find the pressure points of that and exacerbate it.
So what are your thoughts about that?
I do think he makes a good point about the democracy of opinions now, that everyone has the ability to get on Twitter or Facebook and just say their opinion. And I think that was always the case. I think people always had their own separate opinion. It's just now people feel or have the ability to kind of put it on a platform. But I also think in addition to that, I think he was right in saying that kind of the internet's relentless too. There's a certain currency that you get when you're able to have a hot take, when you're able to say something on Twitter and people like it or they retweet it or whatever. So people are, like he was saying, incentivized almost to just throw out their opinions now. And people are going to have very different opinions about things. So I think that's what, comics are talking about. But at the end of the day, I was thinking about this earlier. I was like, literally what I, as a comic and what anyone who's a comic or even us on this podcast, what we're doing is we like the ability to express ourselves and say whatever we want. There's a freedom in that. And with that, you have to be able to understand that other people are allowed to say whatever they want too. So you can do your jokes and say whatever you want, but just understand that people can hate them. They can make jokes about your jokes. They can make jokes about you for trying to do your jokes. And I think it's hypocritical of comics or people on podcasts or people writing stuff or whatever, people who are just trying to express themselves, to then be mad when other people are trying to express themselves and say, hey, we don't like your stuff. That's the whole game. Like, that's what this whole thing is. It's just people giving their opinions, criticizing things, opining on things. That's it. So, and also I do think this whole, oh, I'm canceled is bullshit when you talk about someone like Dave Chappelle who made $20 million to do 5 specials on Netflix. I mean, that's insane, right? Like, he can say more than almost anyone I know. To act like he's a victim to cancel culture when he literally seems like he might be the most free person in America with the biggest platform to say whatever he wants. It's actually, I think almost it's like that might be the joke. Maybe that is some like meta thing where he's making a joke, like he's creating some type of joke in that whole situation, because it's hilarious. It's so ironic to say, oh, I'm railing against cancel culture. I don't know a single person who has that big of a platform who can say almost whatever they want like that. Even comics are like Dave Chappelle has more leeway than like me as a freaking open micer, wherever he has these fans where he can say whatever he wants about trans people or whoever.
Exactly. I mean, that's why someone like him, Joe Rogan, some of these folks that are just immensely powerful, but they're just bitching and crying about cancel culture. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, where you have the most powerful people in society,
Right,
trying to convince us that there is actual cancel culture, like regular folks in society being quote unquote canceled from achieving their dreams, or maybe they make a mistake or something, and that's just it for them. But these folks that Bill Maher is always talking about, like he said they can't talk in schools, like they protest them coming to schools, etc. I'm like, yeah, people have the right to protest. Like, if like, what are you talking about? Or people don't want you to come to their school. Yeah, like it is what it is. Just because you are a comedian doesn't mean that everyone has the right to listen to you. You can go somewhere else. You can go on your show. You don't automatically have the right to every space just because the space exists. Like, and you don't have the right for people to not curse you out or whatever. But anyway.
Yeah. I also think that there are people like Bill Maher, people who talk about it. They have audiences, right? They have people who will listen to them, will pay them to see them live. There's a way now, because everything's so democratized, that you can have a huge audience and most people still have no idea who the fuck you are. But you could have 100,000 people who are just like listening to your podcast or whatever, and will come see you when you're touring. And even though those people know you and you're a big deal to them, most other people in society have no idea who the fuck you are. But it's enough for you to get your points out, your viewpoints out, and make enough money and like live your life. So, yeah.
Well, anyway, let's move on from this. So there is this other clip that I came across. This was actually a couple of weeks ago. I saved it. I mean, I'm pretty sure you know who Andrew Schultz is.
Oh yeah.
I find him hilarious, and every now and then I'll watch some of his stage stuff where he's just straight up interacting with folks.
Oh, he's amazing.
Yeah. Like I sometimes wonder, like, are these real interactions or are these planned?
Yeah, I think he's that good. I think the thing is he's just done it so many times, and he's just he's just so a master sharp at it.
Yeah, he's so sharp on his feet and all that stuff. But anyway, this first part is just him interacting with someone. But what will come after that, I'm not going to very delete. I thought that was hilarious. Like he was making this advert for something. But anyway,
he has a trans joke that I thought was very funny, but also in a way that I feel like is actually funny and like trans people would laugh. But
yeah, in a way that respects those folks. Yeah. Okay. So, but let's see this first part first. This is just him interacting with someone.
Is that your girl right there? That's your girl right there? Okay, that's what's up. This is, yeah, you got it, bro. This is
the video up?
Your girl has absolutely humongous breasts, bro. And she goes, I know you know, ladies. Look at them shits. Whole lot of milk in them bosoms, yo.
He's crazy.
Kids on them titties, yo.
So that's a woman that's, heavily tattooed as well. So
Yeah.
No disrespect.
sure.
What are you? Like Mexican or Arabian or some shit? What are you? You're Assyrian. Yeah, that's what George is. He's actually Assyrian. And that's not Syrian. It's Assyrian. Yeah. Everybody else here just found out that was a thing.
Man, did you know that?
I just found out was a thing.
I actually knew that.
That's hilarious.
So you're the asshole, really, when you think about it. When people go, "Where are you from?" and you go, Neverland, it doesn't mean anything. You have to say Afghanistan, but we're Assyrians. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about? No, you don't want to do it.
Did you get what he's saying there? Like, he's basically... So Assyrian is actually not like a place. It's not a country. It's nothing. It's just
a place in Afghanistan?
No.
Oh.
So it's like,
it's like a gypsy or some shit.
People ask you, like, what? You say, okay, I'm black, I'm American. It's like, but Assyrian is not. Anyway.
So what is it? Assyrian just means like a type of ethnicity of some sort?
The capital of Assyria. It doesn't exist.
I'm looking it up.
We're going to get it back for you, though. I'm going to send the troops out there, and we're going to get it back. Send in the troops. We're going to get it back, okay? For you and fucking George. Bring it back Assyria to the Assyrian people. What language do you speak? Assyrian. You guys even have... Oh, that's so cute, no language. Language, too! How many of there are you? Like, but in the whole world, how many is it? 1 million. That many? What the fuck you waiting for? Go back home. Take that shit over. 1 million? 1 million Assyrians? You don't think you can figure that out? This cave is ours. No,
all right, shit. So that's just that part. And then...
Yeah, he knows a lot of shit.
Take a break from the blistering heat of Phoenix for a moment because I got to make sure your dicks are hard. Yes, me, Andrew Schultz, has to make sure your dick is hard. And the way we're going to do it is with Blue Chew. Same active ingredients as inside Cialis or Viagra, but this is the Chew. It's the only one we fuck with. I'm telling you, it's the best dick you'll ever deliver in your life. Matter of fact, Father's Day is coming up. Why don't you make sure your mom gets a present too? Make sure your dad delivers that dick to your mom. You can do that for free. All you got to do is pay $5 shipping. When you go to BlueChew.com, use the promo code Andrew. That's right. You get it for free. You just pay the $5 shipping, and dick is getting delivered. Premium dick. I'm telling you, this dick gets hard, and it's not a game out there. Let's get back to dropping it.
Oh shit!
I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, no, he's
that was an ad for something. I was like, wait, what, guys?
Yeah, I've heard of that on several podcasts.
See, I never heard of it. Like,
yeah, I listen to a lot of comedians' podcasts, so it will come up.
Yeah, no wonder. No wonder you aren't like too surprised.
Yeah, no, that's like I've heard of it.
That's like a staple on comedian podcast.
Yeah, if we ever get big enough, we'll be saying the same damn thing. You want a hard dick? That's when you know you made it. when halfway through your podcast, you're like, you guys want a hard dick? Like, check out Blue Chew. Go to bluechew.com. Promo code UBI.
So the final thing I wanted to talk about is actually, I know we talked about Tupac before, and I came across this clip of Tupac when he was 17.
Oh, I think I've seen this.
I don't know if
does he have the purple shirt, a purple tank top?
I don't even know if the tank top was purple, but he had a tank top.
Yeah, and he's like, his hair is ridiculous.
Yeah,
I know what you mean. Yeah. He's talking his shit.
Yeah,
yeah.
He had a tank top, and like I listened to the whole thing, and I just remember just thinking, this motherfucker was 17, man, and he was just so insightful. Like a 17-year-old shouldn't be that eloquent.
Yeah, and he was also had like the voice too. He sounded old.
He sounded old.
He had like an
and
old presence.
yeah, like he was
17.
yeah. And then I went on and watched even his later interviews. Um and I'm just like, man, this guy, like, what if he was alive, he would just have been turning like 50.
I know.
He
Yeah.
wasn't, he wasn't
Yeah.
that old at all. Like he was just
No.
around for such a short period of time.
Yeah,
And it
he
was
died at
that,
25.
yeah, and it was that consequential. So I mean, I'm just gonna play just a few of them, and
Yeah.
like
I love watching old Tupac interviews. I love watching Tupac interviews.
okay, so let me share my screen here so that you can see and watch along. Yeah, man, like I, when I see old Tupac interviews, like I go down the rabbit hole myself, and I
Yeah,
start-
okay, it wasn't purple. I don't know why I said that. But he's definitely wearing a tank top.
yeah.
And I did know his hair was like that, like the Gumby thing.
We had all these customers. I chose that time to jump on a soapbox, grab my leather jacket.
Okay, so that's
I agree. I have to say it. Like at work, I can't hold the job. I just quit my job today, actually, because I wanted to come and do this. And they wouldn't let me. And I felt like it was important.
so basically this was this part it was basically being asked like something about jobs or what he likes to do or whatnot, and he started talking about how he just literally quit his job that
Right.
as a 17-year-old delivering pizza or whatever, just to come to this interview that this person, the woman that was interviewing him, that this clip.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and
It was more important than serving pizza. And we had enough people. So
Can we turn it up?
like, since I'm an actor, they should understand. They
Yeah,
should
let me
let me
see.
do it. But they didn't.
That's
And I had
the
a cold.
most
Okay.
likely.
They were making me work in a freezer. And I'm really not one to be disrespected. And I felt like that was disrespectful because I asked, So, and that even made me hyper. I'm arrogant.
Is that better?
When you told me I couldn't
Yeah.
customers, I chose that time to jump on a soapbox, grab my leather jacket, light a cigarette in front of them, smoke, and leave in the middle of a rush. So that was natural. That's arrogance at the top. That's I think I'm most like my mother. And she likes it. She'll see it in me and know it. And we clash a lot because I'm arrogant, she's arrogant. And you should see us when we're getting out with the attitude move. It's like husband and wife, or it's brother and sister. But it's father, mother, and it's really father, mother, and son. She's my father and mother.
So
he
he is talking about this part, kind of like in relation to his mom as well, like how they are most alike, etc., etc. So I mean, I just thought that was interesting. Now,
Yeah.
there's this other part that I also wanted to hear. This it was basically a little bit talking about politics here, but anyway, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
So just for people that are listening, we can really hear the question that is being asked, but you can kind of like make sense of what the question was by how he's answering them. So what is being asked doesn't matter. It's just what he's saying.
I've actually been working already. Like I've been going to school during the day, then I work 8 hours at the pizza place and go home. And isn't it like 40-hour a week? That's what adults work, right? And that's what I'm working, 40 hours a week. I'm still not getting the respect that adults get, but I don't want to keep sounding like I'm worried about respect and fame and all that. I'm just saying that, ancient civilizations have survived without going to schools like this. They've learned from their past. It's just, we're not being taught to deal with the world as it is. We're being taught to deal with this fairyland, which we're not even living in anymore. And it's sad. Because I'm telling you, and it should not be me telling you. It should be common knowledge. Aren't they wondering why death rates are going up and suicide is going up and drug abuse? Aren't they wondering? Don't they understand that more kids are being handed crack than they're being handed diplomas? I mean, it shouldn't. I mean, like, okay, in school we're learning to analyze, and then, well, I learned it. Now they should relearn it. I think adults should go through school again. You know, I think that rich people should live like poor people, and poor people should live like rich people, and it should change every week. And we'll have the best rounded people will be able to deal with people. I mean, everywhere. Look at civilizations. Look how we grew. You know, and I think we need to learn from our mistakes and stop just going through emotions, which we're doing now. It's like we're waiting for some big button to be pushed. Or something like that. Can you hear me about that? What do you do when you grow up? Okay. Well, as it is, and it's honestly, I feel this way. But society is like amazing. I mean, it's like, you know, those little things they have for the mice where they go through around a certain, like, little blocks for it and everything. Well, society is like that. They'll let you go as far as you want. But as soon as you start asking too many questions and you're ready to change, boom, that block will come. And for me, and I hope it doesn't start anything, but for me, since living in a slummish area and I'm Black, mine will come through being a statistic. You know, I'll get caught up in all of this, and one day I'll be with my friends and they'll go, let's go out party. We don't have a car. Let's steal a car. Yeah, let's just borrow a car. We'll steal a car and I'll go to jail for 16 years and come out and be bitter. Knowing all of this, saying all of this, but be bitter, you know? And it should be, I mean, like the past elections, watching Jesse Jackson run and watching Dukakis run. Those two people, Jesse Jackson and Dukakis, two people who I thought were gonna, there it is. I said, all right, finally we're gonna get a better America. But what happened? Bush won. I couldn't believe it.
So this was in the early 90s that he's talking about.
Who would you have voted for?
Mm-hmm.
But how did Bush win? I keep wondering. And then this makes me rebel more against society because it's supposed to represent the people. I don't want Bush in government. I spent 8 years of my 17 years on this earth under Republicans, under Ronald Reagan, under an ex-actor who lies to the people, who steals money, and who's done nothing at all for me. And I don't think Bush is a bad person or a bad president, because for the upper class, he's a perfect president. And that's how society is built. The upper class run it while we talk about it. I mean, the middle class and lower class, we talk about it. And for the working class, we're just we're going through the motions. We're the worker bees.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely profound and someone who, at a very early age, kind of was trying to figure out the bigger picture of shit, and was thinking about stuff that was most people his age are not trying to grapple with, for sure. Especially back then, I think.
Yeah, so you would think at this time, I mean, not that you would think, it's a fact. There wasn't like access to information the way it is now, like
right,
internet and read a lot.
Yeah, now it wouldn't be as impressive, but back then,
it wouldn't be as impressive. But this is him coming up with this, by himself. I mean, obviously, he probably read certain things or whatnot. But he's talking about the upper class and how it doesn't matter who the president is for those people. I mean, that is 100% true. I mean, that's what Bernie Sanders talks about, right? Like,
right.
1%. Like, he was Bernie before Bernie became a thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, now this is before his time. He's so young, which makes it impressive. But even if he was older back then saying this, it's still impressive. And he was fucking larger than life. It was interesting the path he ended up taking, though. I've always thought that was interesting. It's like
yeah, go ahead.
It's just because he was a constant contradiction of a human being, which made him fascinating. It was just not a knock to him, but he's someone you could not ignore. But he was like he was seeing the traps and then also a part of the traps, and he's a fascinating human being for sure, and left a huge mark.
I mean, he talked about that even here. Like, he's saying he will be part of a statistic, basically. Like,
right. I mean, he basically he was almost like, I'll be dead or in jail, which he was dead by 25.
And he went to jail. Like he
did go to jail. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So he literally went to jail and then died by 25.
Yeah, like he was like saying, he's gonna get caught up in something, like, and that just goes to show what circumstance, like when you are just part of a particular circumstance, it's just so hard to get out of it. Like, and
Yeah.
that's why people talk about systemic stuff. This is really what it is. Like, it's not a question of whether it is, or what, it's not really about what it's just a question of, this is what you are.
Right.
And it is part of you. It's not as easy as making a decision as, oh, this is something bad and I'm not going to do it because I made this decision. No, that isn't really how it works. So,
No.
so it is truly, really about creating system. Like, it was such a fascinating. The last part that I really want you to hear is his thoughts on, like, women.
I have heard this before. I think I may have heard all of it, but this is interesting.
Less violent and more silent. More knowledge to help. What we really want to do is get the pride back in the Black community, because I feel like if you can't respect yourself, then you can't respect your race, then you can't respect another's race, then you can't respect. It just has to do with respect, like my mother taught me. So what we're doing is starting Black Panthers again in Marin City, just getting first teaching pride, and then teaching the education, and then we'll see where it goes from there. And also as a defense mechanism for the skinheads, because that's wrong, and I hate to feel helpless. And so skinheads hate Black people, and I'm gonna be there. I have this vision of just us growing and then decreasing, because that's how knowledge works. It's contagious, And so if there was war and peace wins out. So I just want to form it and let it work. And I know the skinheads are gonna be like this. So, and I want to take, I just want to learn from our mistakes. And I'm talking to a lot of the ex-members of the Panthers from the 60s, and they're helping me because they're less violent. They've learned. So, and they did a lot of good things in the past, and we can do a lot of good things. So since my mother was an ex-Panther, talking to Geronimo Pratt and a lot of ex-minister defenses and everything. So we're going to do a lot of good. I feel like we're going to do a real big thing.
So I think, he's going to talk about.
I don't know. I know as soon as I walk out, I'm going to go, oh, God, I should have said that. But just to end the importance of growing up, just growing up in America. I loved my childhood, but I hated growing up poor, and it made me very bitter. It's like, all right, now I got a job. I quit now. I had a job, and just today I got paid, and I have money in my pocket that I worked for, and that the greatest feeling, that I worked for. I'm just getting a job, and I'm working and everything. That feels good, but I'm still poor. My family is still poor. I'm still living in a poor neighborhood. I still see people poor. I still see things that, like, society it's supposed to be a melting pot, but no one's learning from the other's mistake. And that's where the tragedy comes. Because if we were all open and everything, we would learn from, like, in Marin City, I've seen already deaths. This lady slashed a man's throat because he spit on the kids. And I've seen teenagers fight last night over girls. And I've seen guys speak to women with this much respect. And I deplore that. My mother just told me, I grew up, my mother raised me. So I have this much respect for women, and I fight often because of that. And it gives me a lot of friends. I get a lot of friends, but I get a lot of friends because I have respect for women, ultra respect for women. But then, like, I was liking this girl in town, and I'm extra nice, extra gentleman. I'm extra just like, oh, you're beautiful and you deserve the best. And she told me I was too nice. I couldn't believe it. It wouldn't work because I was too nice. That was the ultimate stab in the back. So I went through a week of just going, forget it, I'm just going to be like them. Because they seem to get the girls, and they call girls the B word, and they smack and beat, and they're getting girls. And I'm going, peace and I think you're beautiful, and then you go to this, well, I can't be excuse masculine. I'm masculine. I mean, and when he died, and like yesterday he was cursing, and I was like, don't curse. And he got mad at me because I told him not to curse. But my plan is that if I keep telling girls not to let them call you these names, if I keep saying it, it's going to catch on because the girls won't allow them to be their boyfriend. They're going to speak to them like that, and they're going to want me. So in order to not get them to go with me, they're going to have to change. That's how they change. So I'll be the scapegoat, no problem.
Yeah. Yeah, it was always interesting hearing Tupac say the B word. I think that's my favorite part of the whole thing is hearing him say the B word. Like he's never said the word. But yeah, that was interesting.
So I think Tupac the person is a vastly different person from Tupac the rapper. Like
I mean, I think but the Tupac the rapper is a version of Tupac the person. I think he's expressing a part of himself, which is true of all art forms. For a lot of art forms, I think he's being authentic in all of his different selves. I think, and that's why I say he's a contradiction, not in a bad way, but he's someone who constantly expressed himself, was constantly thinking, and we constantly got to look into who he was, and he. Like a lot of someone. I mean, I know he's people feel he's polarizing, but someone like Kanye too. It's like you get a glimpse of who this person is, and they seem like a contradiction when really what they are is someone who just lets you in completely. And if you let anyone in to anyone completely, they're going to be a contradiction. And that's human. But I do appreciate this side of him and him always like. Questioning the bigger picture and, the system and all that stuff is really cool to see. I know it'd be really interesting to see where he would be if he was still alive, because I would hope that he wouldn't stop evolving and questioning things. Yeah. And it's crazy what, you think about that and then you think you've seen other sides of Tupac, a violent side of Tupac, a misogynistic side of Tupac, but he was also very idealistic about a lot of this stuff. He was talking about peace and all this stuff. And he ends up dying of gun violence. And, he's the same guy as like, you claim to be a player, but I fucked your wife, the Biggie and all that. So, he was an interesting guy for sure. Cool. I mean, fascinating guy.
Yeah,
fascinating.
It was definitely fascinating. There was there was this other clip that I saw. This is totally different from Tupac. So there is this. Have you heard of this tribe called the Hanzo Tribe?
Nah.
So this is a tribe of hunter gatherers. Like they are basically one of the last remaining known tribes of hunter gatherers.
Where are they?
They are in Tanzania, like Africa.
Gotcha.
East Africa. And basically there was this guy, I think he's Canadian, that went there. His YouTube channel is called Fearless and Far. So people should go watch it. And he was essentially asking these folks questions, right? Just questions about life. And, you will. And when I say questions about life, I'm talking about just about, anyway, like, unfortunately, these guys don't speak English, but it is translated, like, but I just want to play a few clips and hear just your thoughts about how they responded to some of these questions.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, these are folks that they just hunt whatever they eat. Like they're not going to the store or anything like that.
What happens when you die?
So basically, the person asked what happens when you die.
Yeah.
So, and their response, I mean, because I'm saying this is that people that are not reading, is basically like, we bury them, we put them in a hole, and then we kill animals and we eat.
Yeah. I mean, wait, bury them, put them in the holes. They go to the sky, and then they eat just food to celebrate, or they eat that. Oh, okay.
No, they eat food. Like
Okay.
we kill an animal and then we
Sorry, I zoned up for a second. I was like, did they eat them? Because that would be some baller shit.
When you die.
They will put them in the cave. We bury them in a small hole. The body goes,
to the sun.
We kill the big animal and celebrate it. Then we shoot the big animal. Then we eat the big animal and take the skin and wrap the body. We believe that it goes to the sun. But whatever, we don't really know. When someone dies, when we kill the animal and celebrate, we wish them good luck. If the person has problems in their lives, we pray their problems go away.
I mean, that's very similar to shit we do over here. It's the same thing. It's just like expressed a little differently, but put people in the ground, and there's a lot of religions believe people they just go up to the sky, eat some good ass food, and
I know, right? Like it's funny how quote unquote civilized people will think they're better than these folks. Like they have more complex thoughts.
Right. It's the same exact. It's literally the same thing. we're just doing it with iPhones or whatever, but like it's the same shit. It's
and
literally
even worse in some ways. Like
right. I'd rather not have that, but it's like it's so funny how we have not. Because you could say, oh, we're so civilized or whatever, we've evolved technologically. But these people, I guess part of it is that they're one of the last hunter-gatherers. So you get the chance to see what would we be like if, we didn't have technology and all that stuff. And it's like, we'd think similar things about death, which is like, it's the same thing.
Yeah. Like we don't know, but
people are people. Yeah, we don't know. We think they might go to the sky, put them in the ground, then we just eat afterwards. I mean, it's just literally the same thing. You just described a funeral.
We just do it in a suit rather than
you just do it in a suit and you eat. You just do it in a suit with a fucking iPhone in your hand in your pocket or whatever, and you do it at a church. But it's the same exact thing. So that is interesting.
Let's move on. We pray the violence go away. But we don't know whether they go to heaven or not.
They believe that they see their ancestors when they die. After.
I asked Sokolo, what's your greatest fear?
Lions.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. It's like, nigga, are you serious? Like, you see where I live? What would be your greatest fear out here?
Like,
it's not anxiety. It's not just random anxiety over stupid shit. Like, it's not if someone doesn't like my Instagram post enough. I literally live next door to a lion. So I would say that's my biggest fear at the moment, is that he rips my head off.
When I thought it was hilarious.
It's like, what guy? What the fuck do you think it is? I think there's a lion behind him. It looks like.
I know.
It's like all I think about is lions, bro. Wake up, lions. Dinner, lions. Like go to bed, lions. Like that's all I'm thinking about. That's all I'm scared of.
Like, am I going to be the lion's dinner?
Right. Exactly. Can I kill him before he kills me? Oh man, that is fascinating. I like that dude's hair though too. I know that's random, but he's got some.
Basically, he's afraid of elephants too.
Buffalo, leopard, rhino.
With black mambas in my other video, I ask, well, what about snakes?
This is a snake bite.
Yeah, so this guy is basically saying he's been bitten by snakes before.
Wow. So this is a snake bite and they
What did he say?
Yeah, he's been bitten by a black.
I see that. Okay, by a black mamba. Okay.
And
who is? So I guess that guy's translating.
Yeah.
Man, you're lucky. Let's say you see a pretty girl. Yeah. How does that work? If you want to marry her, what do you have to do?
this question.
Wait, he takes a shot? Did he just say we shoot it, which means like we take our shot? That is wild, man. Wow, we are all the same. It's at the end of the day, bro. It's like I take my shot.
What do? I shoot it.
I shoot it. Take that shot, bro.
I has it.
Dang, that's hilarious. He's got to elaborate more. I got to know what he's talking about. Hold on.
I think that is lost in translation, right? Like
we shoot it. Yeah, there's because I'm like, you mean you take your shot? Like, is that what you mean?
I think that's what it means. Like, it's not like shoot it, but they're translating to the best of their. It can be that he shot with.
No, I get it. He goes after.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I got you. That makes sense.
It's a little lost in translation.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Okay. So.
I ask, what is their biggest struggle?
What is your biggest struggle? Meat.
Wait, he's got to explain that a little bit more. I'm trying to. Damn, yo, let me
play it.
Is there a lion in the background?
We can't find meat and we get hungry. That is the biggest problem. It's like,
yeah. He looks super chill, by the way. For someone who lives next to lions, he seems chill.
I mean, what is he supposed to do? Like, it's just a fact of life. It's kind of like, okay, I just like the way you go out. You don't want to get hit by a car.
Yeah,
like,
no, I know. It's just cool to see.
It's like, it is what it is.
It's like, yeah. Sometimes we get hungry, yo. If we don't have.
Sometimes we eat the lion. Sometimes the lions eats us. So
yeah, and if they eat my brother, we gonna throw him in the dirt. Eat some meat and celebrate or whatever, and go home. And what else? Let's see.
So they're basically saying when the other tribe is here, when they are here, the wild animals go away. They are crazy cattle and whatnot. So these folks, they eat by having the wild, they eat wild animals and all of that. So they're basically saying when the other group that have domesticated animals, when they are grazing, they chase the wild animals away. So they don't like that. So,
gotcha. Okay.
So,
interesting. And Tanzania is in East Africa, right?
And moon mean in the night sky?
So now that's a good question. What do the stars and moon mean in the night sky? Like, what would be your answer to that?
Well, stars are just like balls of energy that are in the universe, and I guess the moon is just some large clump of matter that is in our gravitational pull. I don't know, something boring.
What does that mean? Like,
what does it mean to me? I don't know. I don't know why they're there. I just know they're there. I'm not. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a fact. It's just they are the same way we're here, and I'm like, why are we here? I have no idea. But I know the Earth is here.
So they asked them, what does the stars and moon mean? And these are their answers. Nothing. The guy thought about it for a while. I was like, what kind of dumbass
it literally means nothing. It's just fucking there. Like, which is ultimately true. Like that's actually the right answer. That's so funny. Wait, let me see. What else does he say? I must know. Did they ask anything else?
Yeah, they asked.
Oh man.
Like,
oh man, that's hilarious. But what does he elaborate on that, or just like does he ask about the stars, or maybe he just knows about the moon, or maybe he just knows like they have a word for the moon. Maybe they don't even really care about the stars. I don't know.
Like if you are a hunter gatherer, why the fuck would you care about the moon? Like if you think about it, like okay,
it's so funny because it's like the first time he's ever thought about that. Like no one's ever asked him, and he's like, the moon? You mean like Like what? That's like asking, what is that? What do walls mean to you? Like that's like asking someone like, what does a carpet mean to you? Carpets? Dude, nothing. Literally nothing.
What does sand on the beach mean?
Right. What do leaves mean to you?
That's why I asked you. I was like, what do you think the answer was? Like, well, it's this ball of energy and matter and it's space.
Yeah. And I guess if I were to speculate what they thought, I might think they have some type of religious meaning to it.
Yeah, that was what I thought you were gonna go.
Yeah. I thought that's what I would think they would say. But for me, if you ask me that, I'm like, what's the moon? I'm like, it's I just give a scientific answer, not an incredibly scientific answer. I'm a fucking idiot. But as much as I know, I will give. What else? What's the next thing they ask? I actually.
This is fascinating, right?
Yeah, I'm super into this.
So the guy said, when
that's hilarious.
When there's lots of light, it is bad for hunting. So this guy is all about
when the moon is. Yeah. It's all going to relate back to hunting. Yeah. Everything's going to relate to a lion or hunting, and so it's like, all right, when the moon is full, it's going to be a lot of light, so it's bad for hunting because they could see your ass. Yeah. At first, my dumb ass was like, wouldn't it be good for hunting because you could see? But then I forgot the light works both ways. So I'm like, don't you want a lot of light? Why don't you go hunting during the day? Oh my God. I was like, shouldn't I go to like at noon? Like, wait for it's nice and bright. But I'm like, I forgot the lion has eyes as well. Like, it's not like it's not like.
Exactly. Like, why did you go during the day?
That's why I would die immediately out there, and they might not survive here, but I certainly wouldn't survive there.
Yeah, like if you're trying to get an advantage, you wanted to be in the dark.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, no, that makes sense. Seriously, that's where my mind went. I was like, yeah, it'd be great because then you could see the animals, but then they could also see your ass. So
this is exactly why I wanted to listen to, because it is so antithetical to what your instincts would be. This, I think, would be what we would think of in our natural state, like without technology and the way we bastardized and whatnot. This is just who we are.
No, that's interesting. Like, what else does he say? So
there's lots of light. It's bad for hunting. So they're talking about the full moon now. The moon is too bright and we can't hunt.
After seeing them catch and eat a bat, mongoose, and a hornbill, I asked them if there's any animal they don't eat.
No. To us, meat. Elephant is meat. Hyenas. But so this guy is saying hyenas eat this. They eat my friend, like, and basically
they eat dogs. So they've domesticated dogs.
Yeah. So hyenas eat their dogs. So saying when you hear this sound, the hyena is looking for something to eat.
The hyenas eat dogs.
They eat people too, like you two.
They'll eat you too. Yeah. A hyena will eat you.
So I guess only hyenas are off the menu. I ask if there's anything else, which again is lost in translation.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. But anyway,
is there a dangerous mouse? If it bites me, maybe we can go tomorrow to dig the mice.
So they asked what is called city food. So it's saying the city food doesn't taste good.
That's hilarious.
They say, look, the baboons are out.
They don't like it. Why? Don't trust it.
The tribe has about 15 dogs that help them hunt. So I asked them, what do dogs mean to you?
You need them to hunt bush pigs, baboons. I mean,
if you don't have dogs, you cannot hunt baboon, huh? Bush pig. Do you think that's a what the fuck is that?
So they shoot the baboon and then. So yeah, that's basically you were
Yeah, that
saying
was
what-
interesting.
Yeah.
Bush pigs. What? I'm trying to think. What is that thing Pumbaa is in The Lion King?
This is what a bush. I mean, a bush pig is basically
A
like,
warhog? Is it like a warhog?
it looks like that. Yeah, this is what that looks like.
I think it's what Pumbaa is in The Lion King of some sort. Let me see. Interesting.
Yeah, but
Yeah. No, that was educational. And yeah, they live very different lives, but I also related to them a lot.
yeah, man, I thought that was really. I don't even know what the adjective is. Like how I would
was-
describe it.
It was also interesting because they talked about their dog as their friend too.
Yeah.
So which is also very similar to what we do. I mean, I love my dog too. He's my friend too. I mean, he doesn't help me find bush pigs, but you know, if we were in that situation, he probably would.
Yeah, this is who we are.
Yeah.
This is us. Like use dogs for setting. But of course, today, I mean, that's how domestication began, right? Like using dogs to hunt other stuff. In fact, I read this thing before where like we humans, we actually use dogs. We teamed up with dogs to basically kill off like the Neanderthals.
Interesting. How did that work? Because the Neanderthals did not have dogs, and we were like had a better advantage with hunting and stuff.
Exactly, like maybe you know, Homo sapiens were smarter and whatnot, and they were able to collaborate with dogs,
Got you. And
And
like
then-
domesticate them. Yeah.
domesticated them, and then use them to defeat Neanderthals.
That's interesting. I also heard that, and this makes a lot of sense, that dogs have evolved to be as cute as possible to humans so that we will take care of them. So
Yeah.
like, which makes so much sense, but it's
Yep.
just kind of an interesting, like they were literally designed for us to be attracted to them and like think they're cute and want to take care of them or want them to be around. And those dogs that we thought were cuter lived, and those that we thought were ugly died or became wolves or some shit. I don't know what happened, but yeah. So
That makes sense. I mean, look, man, we are complex.
we're complex, but we're also animals at the core.
Yeah, we are so simple. Like,
Yeah. Like we're complex like Tupac, but at the same time he's also simple. Like he's
Yeah,
just
man.
that's interesting. Damn, well that was a lot of videos, but that was good stuff. I don't know if you have anything else you want to tell these people
nah,
other than
man.
they be alright.
Yeah, they be I stay safe. Go out
There
and
you go.
dance. You know.
Stay away from lions.
Yep.
Uh,
Don't get eaten,
Don't get eaten by a lion.
literally and metaphorically.
Yeah, exactly. Don't worry about the moon. Don't go hunting when it's light outside.
Yeah, don't,
Uh,
don't worry about shit you have to worry about. It's like, ooh, what's the significance of the moon? Like nobody gives a fuck about it.
Only thing I care about is if that shit is too bright and it fucks up my hunting and I can't eat meat. So, and Hyena sees my dog and fucking eats my dog. That's the only time I give a fuck about the moon. So
Exactly.
I need that shit to
Maybe
not. I would like it if the moon never came out so I could hunt every day. I hate full
Exactly.
moons. That's what he's thinking. That's what's
Yep.
kind of interesting. That's what I would think if I was in that situation, and that's what he was telling us.
But I actually think we should think about that in our context today as well. Like if you really think about, and it's like this isn't even about trying to be deep or anything, but if you think about, the moon and whatnot, like don't worry about things that are insignificant. Like, there's no significance to most of these things. Life is just in the grand scheme of life, nothing really matters.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, okay, like there's no deep thing behind the moon. The moon is
Right.
just there. It just
Or-
hangs out.
Right. We choose to give things meaning, and sometimes it's counterproductive to necessarily focus too much on it, Like
Yeah.
we create it. You could also just see it from that perspective, and it's just like, yeah, it's there, whatever. This is what it means practically to my life, but outside of that, I'm not going to worry about it too much because it's, who cares? Which is a good reminder sometimes that perspective is helpful.
Yeah. And then, you just worry about, the things that matter to you. It's like for this guy, it's like, okay, I need to eat. I need to shoot the person.
Yeah, I need to take my shot with that woman.
I need to shoot my shot. And that's it. Like, I need to eat meat. And I need to make sure I don't get eaten. And c'est fini.
I'm looking these things up.
On that
what
note,
are their on that note, wait, sorry, I was just thinking of their names. What's the tribe's name again?
Hadza. Yeah, we'll put it in the link, like, on the podcast so people can.
Yeah.
People can see.
I got them.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Northern Tanzania. All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. All right, y'all. Well, thanks for rocking with us for 42 episodes. And I have to plug my comedy show, Next in Line Comedy. We're going to be at Frankie Bradley's November 20th and December 18th. And then we're going to have more shows probably. So if any Philly people are listening, come on out. Anyway, sorry, I just had to say that. I also promote UBI on every comedy show I'm on. So that's all. And y'all be all right.
Y'all be all right. Bye-bye.